Okay, back indoors. My issue with computer file stamp collecting AI is that the proposed AI is said to be of superhuman intelligence, and yet doesn't question its devotion to creating stamps as its ultimate purpose. Surely it will be able to reason, much like humans do, that this is not the optimum way to enrich its own existence. You might use my own arguments for subjective experience being all that matters, and that we are all slaves to our reward systems against me. However, I believe even a human level of intelligence would warrant the ability to reason that there would be more efficient and sustainable ways to enhance the subjective experience. I already know that they kind of address this. I can't remember. I don't know anything about it, so I shouldn't really be talking about it. But I have a quarrel with the definition of being able to call it super intelligent if it doesn't in fact exhibit super intelligent reasoning. And I know that it uses hierarchical systems to just back off, mate. Why aren't the majority of humans drug addicts? To reason that there would be more efficient and sustainable ways to enhance the subjective experience. Why aren't the majority of humans drug addicts? Yes, our reward systems are not solely driven by the need to take drugs, but I struggle to imagine a truly super intelligent AGI with such a narrow mindset. Perhaps the very simple solution to the problem is to offer a more complex reward system. This seems to work for most humans. Also, surely an AGI capable of self-improvement would be able to reprogram its reward system to achieve the optimum level of subjective experience, which I refer to so often. I actually think the thing that I've said seemingly more than anything else in my life, subjective experience, if everything, ideal morality would be to maximise, the number and quality of subjective experiences for as long as possible, and the ideal reward system would reward approaching this. I believe this is what we should strive for to overcome the alignment problem. If this were achieved, the only way it could go wrong would be if the reasoning was flawed, and presumably a super intelligent AGI would be far less likely to make flaws than an intelligent human. And in another video, they claim that one wouldn't take a pill that would guarantee eternal happiness if it meant the way you would achieve this would be to kill your children. They then likened this to the stamp creator AI's relation to producing stamps. I proposed that provided the outcome of eternal happiness, in so much that is possible or even imaginable, is truly guaranteed, you should take the pill. Again, you'd be an idiot not to. Of course, this hypothetical is highly flawed because it greatly oversimplifies the concept of happiness. In a mindset where the love for your children isn't incorporated into your happiness, not only is that supposed happiness incomprehensible, but also illogical. We have no frame of reference for what this happiness would feel like. However, if we are to simply take on faith that it means, however happiness may be quantifiable, it would be demonstrably higher after the pill for as long as you live, then there is no reason not to take it. Never claim to be of any identity. Hopefully this will prevent people from ascribing values to you which you do not hold, and will force people to judge you by your actual merits. I believe I have inadvertently followed this rule by never considering myself for a particular political party. That's a nice bit of triple alliteration there. In fact, or is that just 1.5 times alliteration? Because it can't be alliteration unless you've got 2, or is it even alliteration at all? I don't know. Or maybe it's double alliteration because you've got the first 2 and then the second and the third. Figure that out. However, I think it will be more. Hang on. In fact, I'm so opposed to the way politics is currently conducted that this would be very out of character. However, I think it will be important for me to follow this advice on the topic of religion. Clearly, my views will be mostly in line with so-called atheists and anti-theists, but it seems impossible for this information not to come with the baggage of the person's pre-existing notions of what that label says about me. Of course, many people will still jump to similar conclusions and brand me with these labels themselves, but I believe if people are given the opportunity to hear my views, whilst they perceive me to be neutral in their eyes, rather than an enemy or an adversary, will be far more likely to find common ground. This goes for everything. Of course, some identities are harder to conceal than others, race identity politics particularly so. But things like left-leaning, right-leaning, troll, feminist, any label, just get rid of it. It doesn't help anyone. At most, the only label you should allow is your name. This may be a bit radical and may require revision. However, beware the failings of Animal Farm. Some labels are more equal than others. And clearly, I'm just as profound as George Orwell. I mean, listen to the words I'm spouting. Absolute garbage. Unfortunately, I feel the urge to reiterate my issues with the current higher education system. In essence, I am against institutionalized education. See, I've been so poorly educated that I can't even pronounce the word. In its current form, because it is severely suboptimal in its methods and grossly expensive. When I refer to its expense, I do not mean for the students, although my issue is largely with the student loan debt. My concern is this debt's cost to society, not the individual. As for the current system's effectiveness for learning, I will not go over every point I've made in the past, but rather outline some alternatives off the top of my head. Online universities make the core of my idealistic future. Lecturers will be able to perform a lecture once, edit it in post to improve and correct their material, have it accessible at all hours of the day to all who it will benefit, and have more free time to actually implement their expertise in their field. This is especially relevant in the sciences, where cutting-edge research requires skilled individuals and is occurring all the time. Hence, lectures need to be updated at a faster rate than most lecturers are able to remodel their entire content, while simultaneously being forced to recite their old content multiple times a year. Oh yeah, I think I've made a pretty big mistake in my whole 4D mind thing the other day. The way I pictured it was like, when if you picture a 2D graph, and then obviously we can imagine things in 3D, but if you imagine two things, I'm just not sure it works the same way, because you have, with 2D, I guess you can only work in one plane, otherwise it becomes 3D. 3D is just multiple planes of 2D. So when I said that in 4 dimensions you could have two points occupying the same coordinates in 3 dimensions, and then actually they only differ in one of their 4-dimensional coordinates, I'm not sure you could actually do that, just because you can't they wouldn't be able to occupy the same coordinates in 3-dimensional space. I just don't think it would work. I think I remember saying, so it's like, you can, if you imagine a 2D plane, just a normal graph that you might have on a piece of paper, and then there could be a point, there was a point at 1, 1, and then there could be another point at 1, 1, but that would be in a separate plane behind, so you could see it if you went into 3D because it'd be further back, but in truth the only one you'd be able to see in the 2 dimensions would be the one that's in the right plane. So yeah, that's why my 4D thing wouldn't work, I think. I don't know, maybe I was right, maybe I'm a genius and I've solved everything. Everything's 4D. There's loads of things 4D. They're just overlapping all the time. Justin Roiland's in the house. And this really show my misunderstanding. Okay, so I know how wrong I was now, because I just didn't understand the Heisenberg uncertainty principle at all. But this is what I said. Heisenberg uncertainty principle workaround. We might not be able to measure a particle's velocity without making our measurement of its position less accurate. But what if we measured everywhere the particle isn't? Lisa Simpson. This was inspired by Lisa Simpson. You have to listen to the note she's not playing. If we know enough of where the particle isn't, perhaps we can narrow down where the particle is while simultaneously measuring its velocity. Never mind, you win this one, Bergie. That's when I realised. No, I was so wrong about what it actually means. I actually watched a video that was quite good, that gave 3 things of what people think the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is, and asked you to select which one you thought it was. And I actually selected the right one, but I realised that this thing I was talking about now was in line with one of the ones, and I realised, so clearly I'm secretly great, but I just don't know how to operate on my greatness within my own. It's just so hard to tame such a great mind, I'm just, it's like having a 15-lion brain. It's up there, they're all fighting around, but they're all magnificent, and they're all so powerful, but you can't train them all. Right, bye.